Hey guys, my name is Gabe and I'm going to be one of your GAs this fall for HSE 220. You'll also have Kennedy, who you'll see in the videos, and then you'll also meet in person for your first lab. In this video, I'm mainly going over how to create a lab report. So if you open up the example lab report in Blackboard, it'll be easiest for you to follow along. I have the updated one on here, but it's having some issues displaying, so I left the old one. The only difference is the names. So you'll see on the one that is loading that Kayla's name is on there with mine. You will not be putting Kayla's name, all right? At the top of your report is your name, and then immediately under that is the name of your graduate assistants. So that will be me, Gabe Russell, and then Kennedy Tidwell instead of Kayla. Under that is the lab number and then the lab title. So the lab title you can use directly off the lab document. And making sure that this heading and the overall presentation of your report is done well is pretty important. That's worth 3 points, and that's going to be your spelling, grammar, organization of content, etc. Part of your organization is having these headers: purpose, results, and discussion. For the purpose, this is worth 1 point out of your 15 points per report. And this is where you're going to clearly and concisely describe the purpose of the report. So what did we do in the lab and what did you learn? Always write this in complete sentences with proper spelling and grammar. It doesn't need to be long, maybe 1 to 3 sentences. And when you write it, please don't just copy this from the lab itself. That is not you writing the purpose. All right, you need to write this in your own words. For the results section, okay, this is worth 5 points, and this is where all of your data will go. So tables, figures, and then calculations when we get to that point of lab will also be in here. Figures are anything that is not a table. For example, you guys might have pictures, graphs, screenshots, etc. Those are all going to be figures. Each table and figure needs to have a brief label to talk about what it is depicting, and those labels need to be done properly. So table labels are always going to be on top of the table, and you can see that in example table 1, where it says biochemistry grades of 5 participants. If you go down, you'll see the figure, example figure 1, and it has the label there. Okay, so notice the figure label is on the bottom and the table label is on top. I remember table top. That's how I remember it. And you will lose points if you get that wrong. So make sure you remember that. Important for your results. When you are filling out your data sheet, which will be on every report, you are not going to be using your partner's actual name. Okay. We always keep our data anonymous, and we use words like subject, participant, or client to do so. So it would not be your partner's name. If I were working with Kennedy, she would be subject 1. Moving on to the discussion. You guys will have 2 or 3 questions with each lab report, and this is where you will answer them. Okay. So in these questions, you need to answer with complete sentences, proper spelling and grammar. Just like I said before, you don't have to retype them, but make sure that you do number each answer so that me or Kennedy knows what we're looking at and what we're grading. These should be clear and concise. There's not any length requirement, minimum or maximum, but you need to be sure to answer it entirely. Okay, if you can get this done in 2 sentences, awesome. If you need to write a paragraph, that's also fine. But like I said, make sure this is completely answered, because you don't want to lose points half answering a question. You are more than welcome to use outside sources in these answers, but make sure that you always cite them. Using APA format is recommended because a lot of scientific writing uses that, but you can use any citation format that you're comfortable with. The data collection sheet. So this is at the bottom of this page, and you will need a collection sheet for every lab. It's only worth 1 point, but it's the easiest point on the report. As long as you did the lab in class, all you have to do is put it as either a PDF. You can take a picture of it and put that picture in the document. You can even type the data out into the lab document, data collection sheet, and then submit it that way. All right, however you need to do that, make sure you have it on there. because it's a free point, essentially, just for showing up and doing the lab. That pretty much covers everything there. I'll mention now and then in the video with Lab 1 as well. You need to have your PAR-Q and HSQ signed, okay? And those will be in your Blackboard shell under Lab 1. So when you open up Lab 1, if you go to the bottom, there's your pre-participation health screening questionnaire, or HSQ, and the PAR-Q plus PDF. You're going to print these out, fill them out. They don't take very long, but we need them for you to be participating in the lab. All right? Any questions, feel free to reach out or wait until we're in lab to ask them. I look forward to a good semester. Let's have fun.